Welcome, botanical buddies. My name is Azia and I'm at the Propagation Station. Today we'll be talking about nodes. Buckle up because we're going on a node trip. Why can some plants grow from just a piece of the original? It's because of the node. The node is jam-packed full of cells that become or already have become a spot for leaves, flowers, roots, or a combination of those things to grow out of. They're what make propagation cuttings possible. This is a pothos plant, and here are the nodes. The nodes on this plant are easy to identify. They have a leaf growing out of it, and it's where shoots also come from. So this is an incredible example because there's already a little piece of a root trying to form, and in this node particularly, this next leaf has already grown out. So it's this little area right here. So here's one and here's one. When you're not watching this video and you're wanting to do a cutting at home and you forget where the node is, an easy way to remember is to think about your arm or your hand. In your arm and your hand you have joints that are where things move. So that's where all of the action is. In a plant, all of the action is in the node. So pretend like your elbow is a node, your wrist is a node, and the space in between them, like your forearm, is an internode. That's just a fun little example of how to identify where a node is outside of an educational setting. It is important to note that human beings and plant structures are quite different. That is just an easy way to remember. A node is also known as a bud depending on what type of plant you're talking about. Especially in new growth, the node or bud structure contains a lot of cells that haven't been told what to become yet. These cells eventually receive signals from hormones, which are activated based on the environment. Hence, if a node is planted in soil or set in water, the cells will differentiate to grow roots in order to survive. There are other ways to propagate, such as grafting, leaf vein cuttings, and of course by seed, but today we're focusing on propagating houseplants by cuttings. Our demonstration today is with the Tradescantia. This plant is very easy to propagate by cutting. So we're going to identify where the nodes are, snip right underneath one of them, and remove a couple of the leaves so that the leaves aren't submerged in water, and then leave it in water. So I have my jar of water here, just regular tap water, and this looks like a good healthy piece to do a cutting from. So I am going to identify a few nodes down from the top, maybe like 7, and pinch right underneath this node. So there I have a separate piece from the mother, and I'm going to remove 2 or 3 of these leaves and submerge it in water. It's that easy. So you're going to have roots in a couple of days, but I have this piece prepared already so we don't have to wait, and in here you can see where the roots have already formed. After you have about 2 to 3 inches of roots growing, it's time to put it in some soil. So I have some soil prepared. This is a mixture of regular potting soil. I'll add a little extra. And perlite. Perlite is a soil amendment that helps drainage and aeration of the soil. So I'm going to mix that together. There is not really a set ratio of how much perlite and soil you need to have, but that's about what it looks like for this type of plant. So we're just going to make a little hole in there. grab our Tradescantia, set it in, and make sure all of the roots are covered. This is an especially long piece. You probably don't need one this long. In fact, if we trim it, it'll promote growth up at the top, and that will look better. But this plant wants to be long, so it is. So there you go. It's easy and it's fairly quick to do one of these cuttings. There are some plants, like the first plant we saw, this pothos, that don't mind being in water indefinitely. If you have a plant like this and you keep it in water, just make sure to refresh the water. Both newbie and veteran gardeners alike get excited to see new roots forming on a cutting. If you don't have a plant at home to take a cutting from, just ask around. Think about your community. Your neighbors, friends, co-workers, or family members might have a plant from which they can offer a cutting. Ask around. I've included a non-exhaustive list of plants that you can propagate by cuttings. Once your cuttings become established plants, you too can offer cuttings to people you know, and even trade them. We're here to provide horticultural education and enjoyment. Hope to see you in the garden soon.